Simon, hello.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's so great to meet you. And I do want to thank you for such a wonderful Christmas movie. It's one of my favorites now.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you.
I watched this pretty early on and it got me so excited for the holidays and the Christmas time. And now we're finally here. So now it's the time to rewatch it because I just love this world that you presented to us. But which is super exciting is that Christmas marks your directorial debut after your amazing work as an animator on How to Train Your Dragon. So I must know what inspired you to take on, the director's chair, and why was this the perfect project for that transition?
I mean, like in everything in your career, lots of things are actually happenstance, not so much controlled. It's a bit controlled chaos, I guess. But I had done I directed some television series between How to Train Your Dragon 2 and 3, and then got a chance to do a Love, Death, and Robots episode. And so I really was really kind of captured by the job of directing, particularly because it allowed me to do things that I hadn't done before, like, working with editorial, the actors, and then of course the music composer, post process, which is so magical. Like I tell you, like interacting with the actors is such a rewarding process. And working with a composer was in our case John Powell. Like what an experience! Like I love film score, and so actually having the chance to help shape a film score is kind of it still blows my mind, if you want. And so when I had been talking to Locksmith Animation, who did Ron's Gone Wrong, for some other jobs, head of animation, and then I told them I really would like to direct. This book came along called The Empty Stocking, written by Richard Curtis, and we were sort of talking about it potentially being a Christmas special. And very quickly in those early conversations with Richard, it turned out there was a second book and a third one on its way. And it was Locksmith Animation who had the kind of brilliant idea of saying, well, if we have Richard Curtis writing a screenplay, he did Love Actually, he did Four Weddings and a Funeral. Like he's the perfect person to maybe expand this into a feature and intertwine these storylines into, one big movie. And for us, as animators, to bring kind of the charm, authenticity, and uniqueness and timelessness of animation to a project like this felt like a great choice for me. So I was lucky that I was there at that moment, because they could have gone, of course, to bigger directors. And because I was part of this development, I was there right from the start and managed to hang on till the very end.
Well, I'm glad you're a part of it. I love the team that's, from the writers to directors, the voice actors, everything, animators, everything about it is amazing. But I obviously love this animation style for that Christmas. It's so warm, it's whimsical. And the town in the movie, it's just like stepping into a snow globe, which I love. I want to go visit that town so much. It's captured such beautiful magic of the Christmas and holidays. What was your biggest visual inspirations for this town, and how did you work with the team to capture this holiday magic?
But we were very careful not trying to reference something specifically. I mean, we had, pictures and photographs and et cetera, et cetera. But very quickly in these early conversations, we said to ourselves, two or three things. The first one was, we want to make a film that can fit into the canon of Richard's films, which are, it's an expansive catalog of amazing films. And how do we do that in animation? And very quickly, we realized, well, the first thing we don't want to do is to put something in between the audience and the film, like stylistically. Like I'm just saying, because I'm a big lover of the Spider-Verse films. Like you wouldn't want to do this with this film, right? You want the audience to feel something and feel like they can access it really directly and think about the characters and the world and make it feel tangible and real. So we said it has to be grounded. But then stylistically, we told ourselves, okay, so the word feel is actually our key things. And what we love, for example, about stop motion films is that when you watch it, you feel the textures, you feel the reality of the world, and whether it's a wallpaper or a texture of cloth. So we wanted to be quite grounded in that sense and get sort of the whimsy of stop motion. But on the other hand, we also really loved what like an illustration can bring. And of course, we started with the illustrations in the books, but we wanted something a bit more three-dimensional so that the characters could perform the humor and the comedy and the emotion from the script. So that kind of drove us down this lane of something very grounded, but something that had the charm and appeal and simplicity of a great illustration. And I got to give credit to both of course our production designer Justin Hutchinson Chatburn, who kind of came from live action and worked very hard on the set dressing of the world, and also our character designer Uwe Heidschutter, who brought that very, very fine line between the sort of illustration, the simplicity of an illustration, but the really extremely researched side of costume design and hair design and all that. And I think that gave us that world that we ultimately wanted. And hopefully that is what gave you that feeling that you're describing.
No, indeed. I loved every detail that I saw. That's why I want to rewatch it, because I know there's a lot of things that I missed. And I just love the world that you introduced. If y'all were to revisit this world for a sequel, what themes or stories would you love to explore next?
Well, I mean, we really set out for this to be a Christmas movie. I mean, again, a movie about a community with lots of expectations of a family event that inevitably don't turn out the way they are, and that it's a story that happens to take place at Christmas. So I think there's such a vast world of characters that I would love to dive back in. There's lots of different storylines to explore that you could take it into another world, but we haven't really thought about this. We really wanted this to be a complete story, and then there. But it's a great set of characters that I like. I sometimes, this is a bit pompous to say, but I think of them as the Peanuts characters. Like you have so many amazing characters in the Peanuts world that Charles Schulz created, that I think that's really fun, to play these characters against each other in all different sorts of ways and throw them into familiar experiences that I think would be fun to do.
No, you nailed it. It's about the characters, and we love all of them. And you'll, gravitate to one of them, but you'll start to be introduced to more and more. And I just love everyone that you've introduced, from the kids to the adults, and they have their own stories to tell, more stories to tell. There's already great stories in that Christmas, and I just want to see more of this, which is amazing. Do you have a favorite Christmas? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie? And is there one that you would love to see sit alongside that Christmas?
Well, I would rephrase it and say I would dream of sitting alongside those films. Like Elf is one of my favorite movies that's just so absurdly silly and fun. I really love Klaus because I think it's from I'm a 2D animator. I started as a traditional animator on The Prince of Egypt and movies at DreamWorks. And having seen that come to life and the quality level of that animation, the way that story is told is really fascinating to me. And then, I'm grew up with the old Disney movies, so you can literally put any of the old Disney movies in front of me, like The Jungle Book, and I'll watch it. I cannot turn it off. I still love it as much as I did back when I was a kid.
Yeah, we have a lot of the same taste in films. I already tell. Everything you mentioned, I absolutely love. Especially, Prince of Egypt. Thank you for that's a great film. I love revisiting that whenever I can. Everyone has a Christmas tradition they hold dear to them. Did any of your own personal traditions or memories, influence the vision for the film, or any fun Easter eggs maybe in the film that we should look out for?
I mean, I'm from Switzerland, and I grew up in a time when, at the end of November, beginning of December, it would snow, and the snow would stay throughout the year. That's no longer the case, unfortunately. But so I grew up with this absolute enthusiasm when you wake up in the morning and you heard on the news that it might be snowing overnight, and the next morning the entire land is covered in snow, and that moment of running out the first morning of snow. And that mixed with the feeling of Christmas, when the Christmas decorations are up and the towns are decorated, that combination of feeling is definitely something that is my biggest Christmas tradition, honestly, being somewhere in the snow. And it's quite it's quite unusual for me to be in California celebrating Christmas. I gotta say, I often go back to Switzerland to celebrate Christmas there. But that feeling was heavily influenced, and my expertise of snow. You know, I was a skier, I was a snow sculptor at some point in my life. The expertise of snow and the difference of different kinds of snowfalls, you know, whether it's big flakes that fall snowily or small flakes that go diagonally across the screen and with lots of atmosphere, and the scariness of that, the different emotions that come with different kinds of snowfall is something that influenced this film quite a bit.
I love seeing snow, maybe animated or in film, because I'm in Texas. We don't get snow here, and that's one of the most magical parts of the holidays and Christmas. It's snow, so I'm super jealous that you experienced that in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Bring some snow back with you whenever you head back to Switzerland because we need it here. But I just want to thank you once again for that Christmas. It's so lovely, and I really do hope we get to revisit these characters in this world that y'all introduced.
Thanks very much. I think can you give Netflix a call and because that would be brilliant, of course. But thank you very much for saying that.